Now it is the turn of the ingredient of anxiety regulation. And I think the best way to introduce it is by way of Malan's two triangles, the triangle of conflict or of self, defense, anxiety, and hidden feeling or impulse, and the triangle of others, Meshulash Shel Acherim, with transference or therapist, current significant others, and past significant others. So triangle of self and triangle of other. And we can also want to make reference to attachment between self and other, and we can add a few arrows between the two triangles, meaning the attachment bond. Now, what is anxiety? We can distinguish two sources of anxiety. Sometimes the source is outside, for instance, someone or a situation that frightens us, and anxiety will prevent trust, closeness, and self-disclosure. Also, an external stimulus of anxiety will inhibit emotional experience. But the source of anxiety may as well be inside, and in that case, it directly prevents from experiencing emotion. And in Lee McCulloch's terms, we can call it affect phobia. Anxiety works like an inertial force that paralyzes change. The same as heat in physics, anxiety involves a dispersion of energy. And at times, it may work as the James Bond of self-sabotage by threatening abandonment. In Bowlby's phrasing, separation anxiety. This is a book called The Milan Seminar, with the transcript of 2 days we spent with John Bowlby in Milan. And it contains also a chapter on attachment theory and experiential dynamic therapy. Anxiety has no frontiers. It moves around freely everywhere in the body-mind system. It has very diverse but specific physiological correlates that we can recognize anxiety by way of these physiological correlates. According to Davanloo, there are 3 main pathways. The first is via striated voluntary muscle, and when we see that, we are reassured that at least some of the anxiety can go in a way that is not particularly dangerous. It is not risky. If we get stiff in the muscle, it can be painful, but it is not risky. The second pathway is instead via the smooth involuntary muscle, and it is more difficult to detect because sometimes it is not visible. And we have to investigate to explore it to make sure there isn't too much anxiety taking that pathway, because in that case it can be risky by interfering with with the functioning of parts of our body, of our internal organs. The third pathway is in a way the most dangerous because it involves an alteration of perception, and cognition. So it can really alter our connection with reality. When anxiety is in the first channel via the body, we will see tension in the hands and thumbs, arms, shoulders, neck. We'll see sighing, that is from tension in intercostal muscles. You may have tight stomach muscles, tension in the feet and the legs, in pelvic muscles, resulting in painful sensation or painful intercourse, irregular periods, tension, headache. At times, anxiety can go to the smooth muscle via sympathetic autonomous nervous system, and then we'll have dry mouth and eyes, dilated pupils, cold hands, increased heart rate, blood pressure and perspiration, blushing, constipation, urinary retention, shivering, piloerection, hyperventilation, and even fainting. When it goes via the parasympathetic autonomous nervous system, we'll have instead salivation, teary eyes, constricted pupils, warm hands, decreased heart rate and blood pressure and respiration, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, urge to urinate, migraines, cardiac arrhythmia, dizziness, mental confusion, bodily anesthesia, limpness. In McCulloch's words, anxiety is also a catch-all term for any of the inhibitory affects, for any force that has an inhibitory action effect on many things, but as far as we're concerned, mostly an inhibitory effect on emotional experiences. Sometimes anxiety is under the form of shame, guilt, or pain, not necessarily only of anxiety, fear. McCulloch describes four main families of inhibitory affects: anxiety itself, the shame, guilt, humiliation family, the cluster of emotional pain and anguish, and the cluster of contempt, disgust. For the therapist, anxiety is a signaling system and provides a natural navigator through the galaxy of human feeling.